Let's go, hurry up. The bewitching hour is about to begin.
'Tis time. I put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Oh, come on. It's just a bunch of hocus pocus. How bad can it be?
So in Salem, Massachusetts, back in 1693, there was this kid, Thackary Binx, who wakes up at the butt crack of dawn to see that his sister's missing. He looks outside for her and sees the neighbor kid staring at the woods. And Thackeray's all, "Dude, have you seen Emily?" And he's like, "No, but the witches in the woods that eat children are definitely up to something." And then it clicks that the two things might be related, and they go to find Emily being lured into the woods. Thackary says that he's going to go after his sister, and the other kid needs to go get help. He gets to the witch's cottage and plans on just watching until help arrives. He sees 3 witches. The oldest is Winifred, and she's their leader. Then there's Mary, the dumb hungry one.
I smell children.
And Sarah, the boy-crazed bimbo.
Oh boy!
Let me play with him.
No!
Luckily, they haven't made their potion yet, so I'm guessing the purple smoke was just from them preheating their cauldron.
The cookies don't bake themselves.
He sees that his sister is either in a trance or just strangely comfortable being murdered after they finish cooking.
Mom, I haven't OD'd. I haven't even had a piece.
But the potion's now done, and the townsfolk still haven't shown up yet, so Thackeray's gonna have to save his sister on his own.
Well, where are they?
Well, since time is of the essence, they had to get dressed and put on their makeup and their wigs, and then the women had to get ready too, and we all know how long that takes.
It's been so long.
And then everyone had to run through the woods in high heels. So as you can guess, it's night already, but I think he does okay. He dumps the metal cauldron that's been on fire all day with his bare hands and everything.
Your hands must hurt.
But then Winifred goes all Emperor Palpatine on him and shocks the crap out of him, and then they inhale his sister. So as he watches his sister die in the dumbest way imaginable, he's probably thinking, did that guy even tell anyone else what's going on? But snorting Emily turned these 3 old witches into 3 middle-aged witches, and now they're going after him. But he called them ugly.
Sisters, did you hear what he called you?
So instead of using him to turn even younger, they turn him into a cat.
You mean you're a pussy?
Yeah, no kidding.
But now it's too late, and the villagers finally show up in their Sunday best.
Well, what took them so long?
I mean, they're coming to do the Lord's work and killing witches. You can't look like crap when you're doing that.
That just wouldn't be proper.
But the witches managed to cast a last spell, where if a virgin lights a specific candle on a Halloween night with a full moon, they'll come back, and then they die.
I'm not lighting a candle so you can feel better about getting laid.
Well, it's 300 years later, and we meet this kid Max, who just moved to Salem from California. And of course, everyone picks on him for it.
Tubular.
Would you care to share your California laid-back tie-dye point of view?
Hollywood.
But his teacher was telling the class about the Sanderson sisters, and he said she was full of crap.
Give me a break.
But we found out that Thackeray was turned into a cat, but she said no one knows what happened to him. But she also says that a cat guards the candle on Halloween, so I really don't blame him for calling her out. But the hot chicken class says that he doesn't know shit about Halloween, and somehow this class thinks this is the sickest of burns. So after she makes fun of him in front of everyone, he thinks this is the right moment to give her his phone number.
Now she is spontaneous combustion hot. I would definitely hit that.
Bad chance.
When he tries to hit on her again, she's like, you know what? You shot your shot. It didn't work. Here's your phone number back, bro.
I hate it when that happens.
He then rides through a graveyard because it's Halloween. And this is where he comes across the 2 dumbest bullies in history, Jay and Ernie.
This is ice.
And these 2 morons were just hiding behind a tombstone for some reason. Well, he could have easily avoided them, and they take his shoes. He then goes home to hump his pillow.
Oh, Alison.
But he's interrupted by his sister, Dani, who's hiding in his closet. Because the writer apparently didn't have siblings growing up, and thought this was normal behavior.
I'm Alison. Alison. Kiss me, I'm Alison.
But it has been worse in other stories I've told you.
Oh, Brad.
He's my brother.
Looks like he's gonna be sick.
But anyway, she stops his pillow humping to tell him that he has to take her trick-or-treating.
Well, why don't her parents take her?
Because that's what real parents do. Story parents always have a party to go to, but at least this kid gets to go trick-or-treating.
Leave me alone.
Plus, they just moved there, so they figure he hasn't made friends yet. So why not make him babysit on a night where something might actually be going on?
Sucked.
Hey, watch your language.
But he does the bare minimum to make sure she has fun, at least until the bullies are outside one of the houses. Apparently, it's easier for them to steal from other kids than to just knock on a door.
I don't know what to say, because I ain't never talked to no door before, you know?
And I guess the homeowners are just cool with them doing this and breaking their decorations. But Dani won't give up her candy, because she thinks that her brother, that is pissed off that he's stuck with her all night, will defend her and fight all 7 of these dipshits. He gives up his candy to the bullies because he's too old for trick-or-treating, and Dani calls him a pussy for not standing up to him. He yells back, so she runs off to cry, but then he apologizes.
Why is he sorry? She's the one that tried to get him beat up.
Because little kids are stupid and cry when you yell at them, even when they deserve it. It's just easier to say you're sorry than to explain to them how dumb they are.
Hey.
So at the next house, they figure, why bother knocking? Let's just go inside and help ourselves. And all of a sudden, Max gives a shit about trick-or-treating again, and acts like he's never seen this much candy before in his life. This is also the only time anyone has ever been excited about Raisinets.
What's a Raisinette?
Well, it's a candy that's so crappy that this house has no other trick-or-treaters coming to it because word apparently has gotten around. But Max is acting like a 5-year-old, and that's when Alison walks in, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't even know what an O. Henry bar is. But Dani, right after she got yelled at for embarrassing Max, does it again.
Max likes her yabbos. In fact, he loves them.
Apparently, she gets comments like this a lot, but she's too nice to say something about it.
No, she's not nice. She's hot.
She then goes on to tell him that her mom used to run the witch museum in town that happens to be the Sanderson sisters' old house. And Max sees this as the perfect opportunity to spend some time with her, and he suggests they go. I mean, I really doubt she wants to be at this adult party when the drinks kick in.
No props and no clothes. Uncle Pete's rules.
So after she changes, Alison shows them Winifred's spellbook that's apparently made from human skin and was given to her by the devil. And it's just laying around for anybody to touch.
Don't trip. I'm gonna take it off your hands for you.
And Max finds the black flame candle that everybody knows will bring them back from the dead. And that too is just out in the open, right next to a lighter display for any virgin to just grab, which Max does and threatens to light the candle. But I'll tell you this, in 1993, there wouldn't be a single teenage boy running around admitting to being a virgin.
Are you a virgin?
Loser.
Well, he asks Alison if she wants to light it, but her reaction says that nothing would happen if she lit it.
I think your little friend here wants me to stay.
Whore. You understand? Whore.
But Thackary attacks him and runs away.
Why does he run away?
Well, because he doesn't want Max to hurt him.
Stupid cat!
But wasn't the whole point to his curse that he can't die?
Well, I'm sure it still hurts. But since Thackary bailed, Max lights the candle. And this causes the other lights to go out and the wind to pick up inside the house. So all of the previously electric candles now turn into real candles, and the floor even starts to glow. So once all that stops, they hide just as the Sanderson sisters come in. When they find Dani, she pretends that she wanted them to come back. And she also thinks that her Kmart witch costume would fool real witches, but they don't buy into that crap.
Shishka baby.
And her plan doesn't work out so well. Max jumps out to stop him, but he wasn't expecting Winifred to have Sith powers.
You will be destroyed.
So Alison and Dani have to save him, but only use objects they've seen used in cartoons. And Thackary decides to help too. Max then pretends to be a wizard and makes them think he can summon acid rain.
Summon the burning rain of death.
The cat then tells him to grab the spellbook and get out.
Now, get the spellbook!
Wait, he can talk? Why didn't he just tell him not to light the candle?
Well, I would say that he couldn't talk until they came back, but he doesn't seem all that surprised that he can do it. So I don't know why he just didn't tell his parents who he was or just tell people not to light the candle. I mean, I'd be more inclined to believe that the candle was really magic if a talking cat told me it was.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, they just watch Max take their book, but then realize the water doesn't hurt him, even though they're noticeably wet.
Well, why couldn't they just shock him?
So they chase after him and come across their next modern challenge, a road.
This is a black river.
An invention that's been around since the Roman Empire. And they do what any normal siblings would do and force the youngest to try something first.
Go ahead, tell him you're big brother.
Thackary leads them to the cemetery, where Max apparently gets PTSD from his encounter with the bullies, because he doesn't want to go in.
Come on, this is a graveyard.
But then Binx says that the witches can't go in there because if they touch hallowed ground, they die. So they decide to go hang out with the dead bodies, even though Alison believes
it's the one night of the year where the spirits of the dead can return to Earth.
And it turns out she's right. Ish. Because one of them comes back, but that's only because the witches cast a spell on him. It's Winifred's ex-boyfriend, Billy Butcherson, and they order him to go after the kids as they hover over the cemetery. Apparently he's spellbound to obey them, but he can still give them shit about it.
Catch those children! Get up!
But when he's chasing the kids, his head gets knocked off.
Oh, cheese and crust! He's lost his head!
So they find a way out of the graveyard, but when it's Max's turn to enter the tunnel, he throws the book that's been trying to find its way back to Winifred this whole time. So the sisters need to figure out their next move. But a bus stops, and the driver assumes they're just 3 desperate middle-aged women.
We desire
Children.
And offers to impregnate all 3 of them.
Hey, that may take me a couple of tries, but I don't think that'd be a problem.
He also does not hesitate to get the party started with Sarah.
Yow.
'Tis firm!
But she runs over the cat as the children emerge from the sewer.
Whoa, speed bump!
But if she was just paying attention, they could have got the book right then and there. But they stop like a block later because Mary's super sniffer goes off. But they're really confused because if a child's wearing a costume, they can't recognize it as a child.
But Dani was wearing a costume and they could tell she was a kid.
Shut up. Maybe they just knew she wasn't a witch. Anyway, some guy comes out dressed as the devil, and they start to worship him. But then his wife comes downstairs and kicks him out.
Satan has married Medusa. See the snakes in her hair?
But wouldn't she know what he looks like since he gave her the book?
I mean, it's been 300 years.
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not.
When they get outside, they find their brooms have been stolen. And that's when they figure out what's really going on.
All Hallows Eve has become a night of frolic.
The kids see a cop and try to get him to help. They even say, hey, we would like to confess to a burglary. Here's the evidence. But the cop just gives Max crap about being a virgin. And then he yells at them until they run away.
Thought I was a real cop.
They then go looking for Max and Dani's parents at the town hall, instead of looking for Alison's mom, who is an expert on the Sanderson sisters.
They're led by a woman. What does a woman know?
So the kids split up to find their parents, but their dad finds Max pretty much right away. And Dani finds her mom, who doesn't recognize her until she says something. And then she gets upset that Dani doesn't understand a pop culture reference from when she was in diapers.
Well, obviously, don't you think?
But most importantly, Binx, whose sole purpose is to take down the sisters, doesn't help to back up her claims. Like, seriously, a single word from a talking cat could have really sold their story. Especially when the sisters show up at the dance, though I'm still not sure how they found them.
I smell children. Marvelous.
But Max is willing to stop this dude's rendition of I Put a Spell on You to tell the crowd that the witches are back, but nobody believes him. He even points them out, but Winifred learned the song from barely paying attention and starts to put a spell on the crowd. And this band is just fine with an unplanned performance of the same song they were just playing. The kids try to get their parents to leave, but Billy's corpse comes after them, and their parents are like, isn't that gross, smelly, rotting zombie chasing our kids just so cute?
Oh, I wish we had the camera.
But the kids know they have to get out of there, because all the adults are about to do Winifred's bidding.
So she's gonna make them sacrifice their children to her?
You know, you would think, but she just has them dance to stay out of their way.
Dance until you die! We can do better than that, I think.
So thanks to a well-placed abandoned oven, Alison gets an idea on how to stop them, but it requires them to go to the high school. But the witches somehow know to go there too. I guess Mary recognizes their scent? But if that was the case, they wouldn't have had enough time to set up their trap. Max channels his inner game show host, while Binx gets their attention. Apparently, they've forgotten that the cat can't be killed and go after him. But then they hear the voice of an adult and go chase that for some reason.
I am looking for a children's book.
But it's a trap.
It's a trap!
They lock them in the kiln and turn it on because everybody knows if you want to kill a witch, you burn him. but all three of these little psychos just watch him burn. Except, this is Salem, a place famous for its witch trials, where not a single witch was actually burned. And since Alison knows all about the town's history, she just wanted to set some bitches on fire.
Been overseen by a child who scoffs at tradition.
And then they go dance in the street as their spirits go out the chimney.
Yes, of course. Victory should be honored with revels.
They start heading home, and Thackeray's all, "Ugh, I have wanted to do that for 300 years.
But if he really wanted to stop him for good, why would he stop someone from lighting the candle?
Well, it's not that simple. If someone just lit the candle and ran away, he'd be shit out of luck. He needed to kill them. But now that he's finally happy that he's avenged his sister, Max has to ruin his moment by saying, "Dude, it's been 300 years. You need to get over your sister being murdered right in front of you."
Man, you can't keep blaming yourself for that.
And he shouldn't blame himself. He should blame his parents, his friend, his whole frickin' village that couldn't be bothered to help him for like 12 hours.
Because that's what heroes do.
But they get back home and realize that their parents aren't home yet. And I guess it doesn't occur to them that the evil witches might have done something to them after they left. And I guess Alison doesn't consider that her parents might be worried that she hasn't come home yet. Instead, they just go to sleep, like they didn't just murder 3 women.
Having the best night's sleep of my life, I swear.
But they should have thought about how the witches were already dead and respawned by magic, and might do that again, which they do.
And as you can see, I am not dead.
Mary follows Max's scent to the bullies that stole his shoes, and when they realize it's not them, they're about to leave him alone, until...
Oh man, how come it's always the ugly chicks that stay out late?
And now they're gonna take their souls. But since it's almost dawn, they try to make the potion without the book. Winifred can't remember an ingredient, but Sarah does.
Dead man's toe.
But because she thinks she's stupid, they just ignore her.
I don't remember the ingredients. I've got to have my book. Book! Come home or make thyself known.
So the book, Alison and Max wake up, and even though Alison thinks her parents might be worried, she instead feels sorry for the cat who no longer has to sleep in the woods and is currently curled up with someone who is promising to take care of him forever. But they decide to help him without even asking him what he wants. So they open the book that he told them not to open.
Stay out of there!
But this orange light lets the witches know where they are.
Sister! They opened it!
But they do find out that salt can protect them. So they grab whatever cleaning device they can find and head to get the book.
Come! We fly!
Thackeray wakes up and tells them how stupid they are.
Nothing good can come from this book.
And this is before the self-centered turd doesn't worry that the witches could have hurt his parents. And the stupidity continues when they think that all the witches are dead, so they don't need to protect Dani or the book, but still need to go to the kitchen to get the salt to protect themselves from the dead people.
Kiss me, I'm Alison.
But then they hear something upstairs and run to check on Dani. They notice that the book is missing and find Sarah in the bed because apparently the witches wanted to play a prank on them instead of just taking the book and a to-go snack.
You know, I always wanted a child, and now I think I'll have one. Toast!
I guess it was to let them know their one weakness because otherwise they would have just left. But now that they've given them a clue on how to beat them, they just take off and blow up part of their roof, which just seems really unnecessary.
Wow, you're so dominant.
So Sarah sings to lure all the children to their cottage, and because it's almost 6 o'clock in the morning, all the kids are still awake and still in their Halloween costumes.
Well, maybe it's because all their parents are still stuck dancing.
Right, but they're still old enough to dress themselves.
Children wear costumes and run amok.
Anyway, Alison figures out that they have to suck the souls by sunrise. And this time, the witches made the potion while Sarah was out luring the kids instead of waiting for her to get back. So at least they're learning. They're about to make Dani drink the potion when Max comes in and announces it's sunrise. And Alison turns on her pink-tinted headlights to confuse them. And they act like it hurts, like they did with the water. So Max is able to free Dani and Thackeray while they're acting like idiots.
We're talking about 3 ancient hags versus the 20th century.
The bullies beg him for help, and even though Max knows that if the witches take their souls, they'll be alive again, and with all the crap he's been through today, that he should help them. Instead, he decides to be petty and take his shoes back and leave him there to die. But he at least dumps the cauldron before he leaves. And after they drive off, it finally dawns on the sisters that they're not burning alive. Again.
I am alive.
They check their potion and notice...
Look, there's just enough left for one child.
Him! But before it was...
One drop of this, and her life will be mine.
But either way, I'm pretty sure they can get a kid because there's a bunch of them right outside. But no! Winifred wants to get Dani because she called her ugly.
I know. She really hurt my feelings. She's jealous. She don't even know me.
But the bully called her ugly first, and he's right there in a cage. So I don't know why she can't just kill him and then go after Dani when there's no time limit.
You die first.
But even though it's almost sunrise, and they could have any of these little shits just to be on the safe side, they go after Dani. And instead of being aggressive, Winifred shows off her knowledge of current day traffic cop banter.
Hello there. Let me see your driver's permit.
But they still manage to get Dani safely to the cemetery and surround her with salt. But Billy apparently has just been waiting around in the off chance they show back up, and he gets Max's pocket knife and cuts his mouth open.
You buck-toothed mop-riding firefly from hell!
So if this is the way he feels, why was he listening to her to begin with? But now that they realize he's on their side, they put Dani in his grave so they can't just swoop down and grab her. So now all she has to do for the witches to die at dawn is to not get out. So she pretty much immediately gets out, giving Winifred the opportunity to grab her. She's about to make Dani drink the potion, but the cat knocks the bottle out of her hand, and Max catches it without spilling a single drop. Max threatens to dump the potion, but Winifred threatens to dump Dani, so Max drinks it.
Oh, that's really brave.
Maybe, but he doesn't know how the potion works, so for all he knows, he just gave them what they want. Thackeray's the only one who knows that they have to snort him like a line of coke.
Idiot.
But instead of just dumping Dani off her broom, she gently puts her down in front of Max. And with him right there, she doesn't even try to sniff him. She just takes him up, but he finally starts to evaporate, and she starts sucking on him hard. But I'm not really sure how much of his soul she needs. And with them not having much more time, her sisters don't even try to get their share. But Max almost knocks her off her broom, and that's when Mary comes to help. But because she's riding a vacuum, they're able to hold her back. And Sarah goes to help Mary instead of trying to help with Max, which is the only way they'll survive. But Winifred is just snorting as much Max as she can right as the sun rises.
Oh, look. Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
Max knocks her off her broom onto hallowed ground, where there is a serious delay for the consequences. No wonder it took them so long to notice when they weren't dying those other times.
It is but water.
Well, how much did she have to get?
Well, you'd think she would have got a good portion of his soul by now, but apparently not, because she just turns to stone and then blows up.
But what about her sisters?
Oh, they just blow up. I guess the holy dirt makes you into a statue, and the daylight makes you explode. So Billy goes back to his grave, and Binx dies. But since Dani is sad about his death, his ghost tells her it's a good thing, and then she lays face first on a dead cat. And then Emily gives Thackeray shit about taking so long, like he wasn't just cursed for 300 years trying to save her. But he flips it back on Max for having no game.
I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.
But I really hope when they meet up with their parents that they give them just as much shit about not showing up to the child sacrifice on time. But Max and Dani's parents are able to finally stop dancing, but aren't worried about their kids in the least bit. And it seems all the children outside the cottage were just being as petty as Max was, and not letting the bullies out because of them stealing their candy. And we also see that the Devil Book is still alive, to hint that there might be a sequel. Alright, now hit the subscribe button, or these witches are going to cast a spell on you.
Twist the bones and bend the back.
Here to decapit American mystic. Trim him of his baby fat. Here to decapit American mystic. Bye-bye,